What'd you think of the game last night, Al? What'd you think?
The game, I thought it would be higher scoring early on. I knew it would be a close, competitive game. You know, I felt going in that that pass rush of the 49ers could make the difference, and I think it did early on. Toward the end, of course, we all know what happened. Mahomes got hot. The 49ers couldn't get to him. You know what's interesting? I've been listening, of course, over the past, 16 hours or whatever it's been to what everybody's talking about, and clearly the 3rd and 15 is gigantic. The pass to Tyreek Hill, the Mahomes comeback, et cetera, some of the 49er strategic decisions. But you know what I kept thinking back to?
What's that?
Mahomes in October in Denver. The quarterback sneak, people forget about that. But it looks like Kansas City's season is over.
No doubt.
He's on the bottom of the pile. And, it's funny because we had them. I got to read you my notes from the game we did with them in Chicago. And I talked to Mahomes. I said, tell me what you felt like, for the next 10 seconds or so. He said, I knew I had a first down. I felt something hit my leg. Could not move my leg. Didn't know what was wrong. Kneecap was on the side of my leg. So all the worst thoughts. Can't move. Season's over. Doctor came out, popped my knee back in. 2 steps, I felt fine. I thought I was going back in the game. Doc said I'm good, but you're not going back in the game. So you think about that and how close their season came to ending. And you know who should get a little shout-out right now is Matt Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Because Matt Moore, who had not played last year, and I think was coaching his kids in high school football or junior football, some sort of kids football out here in Southern California. He comes in. Andy Reid got him to come back. He finished that game in Denver. They won the game.
Right.
The next week we had him against Green Bay. That was our Sunday night. That was going to be the number 1 game we had all year, Mahomes against Rodgers. Turned out to be Moore against Rodgers. But Moore played very well that night. Then he won the next game, I think, against Minnesota. They had a bye week. Mahomes came back. But, that win that they had against Minnesota was so critical. And the victory that he was able to sustain against the Denver Broncos put them in a position to get that bye.
No doubt.
And so you keep forgetting about all the little things that happened in the beginning of the year. And then Mahomes comes back, and it's it's an amazing thing. I mean, the doctor comes out, pops your kneecap back in. I mean, just when he was telling us the story, and we're cringing because it sounds so insidious in a way, and yet here he was at the end of the year, and you don't even think about that anymore because he's playing. I mean, he played at the fourth quarter, obviously, at the highest level.
It does help though to have a kid who can be as dynamic as Mahomes is, who can, as you just read off your phone there, tell you that story about his kneecap being on the side of his leg, and 3 weeks later be back in. Under center. And Andy Reid, that bye week was 2 weeks after they put him back in the game, after a game in Mexico where everything looked great. A year ago, we all know there was some issue with the turf, and that's why everyone's saying, just keep him out for 2 weeks. But he is just so unconventionally good that it overcomes what you normally would say conventionally would be wise to do. Where does Mahomes rank for you in quarterbacks that you have seen suit up, Al, over the years here?
He's only been a starter for
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. He's won an MVP award. I mean, right now, and, when you want to put the numbers to it and the analytics and all the rest, and I don't think anybody's really had a beginning of a career like he has.
I think the only one you could say is Marino, right? That
Right.
Marino made it so young, he did have a coach that we knew had Hall of Fame credentials, and we thought he's going to keep going, and he never made it back.
No.
But
got to 1 Super Bowl.
Right.
Second year, lost to Montana.
That's the only thing you could think of that might be maybe in terms of the beginning of a career. I don't know, but I leave it to you.
And the thing about him, and everybody knows this now too, because you watch the way he handles himself, you watch the interviews that he does. That's him. He's a great young kid. He really is a young kid, young guy. Gets it. I know a lot has been said about the fact that he kind of grew up in a professional sports clubhouse. That Pat was a 10-year pitcher in the major leagues, mainly with Minnesota. But Patrick was used to showing up in those types of environments. He gets it though. He's such a likable guy that you root for him. You root for an Andy Reid, and I looked at that game yesterday, and those are two teams that I think have a lot of likable people, two organizations that have a lot of respect. So it was one of those things where I didn't see a villain in the game. Sometimes there's a villain in a Super Bowl. That wasn't the case yesterday.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.